everyone, and welcome to the State of the Province 2023. My name is Jenna Leahy. I'm the CEO of the Cape Breton Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all for joining us here today. Before we begin, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered here in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people since time immemorial. This territory is covered by treaties of peace and friendship with which the Mi'kmaq, Maliseet, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with the surrender of lands and resources, but recognized Mi'kmaq and Maliseet titles and the established rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. We offer a sincere and humble thank you to the Mi'kmaq people for sharing this land with us. I'd now like to welcome Lori-Ann Sylvester, Dean of Unama'ki College, to the stage for an official welcome.
Walalio. Jilida Unama'ki. Welcome to Unama'ki. In 1974, my grandfather, the late Grand Chief Donald Marshall, participated in the sod turning ceremony for CBU almost 50 years ago. I'm sure he knew that there were going to be educational opportunities for Indigenous students at that time. Did you know that the majority of Indigenous students that Unama'ki College and CBU serve spread across 7 districts of Mi'kma'ki, also known as the Atlantic region? Currently, there are over 200 students on campus, some enrolled in programs within their communities. We offer in-community programs through partnerships with Indigenous communities. We currently have 7 active programs in New Brunswick, Quebec, and throughout Nova Scotia. One of the successful programs is held in Eskasoni, preparing students for CBU's nursing program. We have potentially 14 Indigenous students entering CBU's School of Nursing this September. There are also students that are going into the regular program at CBU, so that number is a bit higher. Many stakeholders work together to incorporate culturally appropriate supports, correct systemic underfunding, and address historic and contemporary barriers so that Indigenous students have equal opportunities to be successful. Unama'ki College, in collaboration with CBU, play a major role in creating opportunities for students. As well, we acknowledge and appreciate supports from all levels of government and the business community. Next year, CBU will be celebrating 50 years as a post-secondary institution. Since the sod turning ceremony took place, we've graduated well over 1,000 Indigenous students, which we will highlight during our 50-year celebrations. My grandfather and others would have been so proud. On behalf of Unama'ki College, I would like to thank you for providing me with an opportunity to share with you Indigenous student experiences and successes in higher education. Walalio.
Thank you, Walal and Lori-Ann. We are excited to be hosting the State of the Province here in Cape Breton for the first time in recent memory. Thank you to all of the partners and friends here today, and a special thank you, of course, to our Premier, the Honorable Tim Houston, for choosing Cape Breton Unama'ki to be the venue for this address. As a voice for the business community, the Chamber of Commerce is proud to be part of the hosting team for this event. Our members and the community at large are excited to be addressed here in our own backyard. We look forward to this afternoon of an afternoon of exciting discussion and hearing plans for the future of our province and, of course, our island. Dinner service will now begin, and we'll hear from the Premier very soon. We're hoping to be back on track for around 12:30. Please enjoy your meal. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Misty McDonald, and I'm the Executive Director of the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce. We represent more than 380 member organizations in the Strait region, many of whom are with us here today. The Chamber is a voice for business in the Strait region, advocating on policy issues, providing networking opportunities, and working with our partners in economic development to ensure the Strait region is one of the best places to live, work, and invest in our province. We are proud to partner with our counterparts at the CBRM Chamber, the Cape Breton Partnership, and Cape Breton University in hosting all of you today. And I have to add that we are very pleased to be hosting the event here in Cape Breton Island, the #1 island in the world. There are many great things to be proud of right now in Cape Breton. It is truly an honor to introduce our special guest speaker today. Tim Houston is Nova Scotia's 30th Premier. First and foremost, the Premier is a dad. He and his wife, Carol, have been married for 27 years and have 2 children, Paget and Zachary. He was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and was raised in a military family, living on military bases all over Canada before returning to Nova Scotia. The Premier attended St. Mary's University, where he obtained a Bachelor of Commerce. He then earned his Chartered Accountant designation in Halifax. After graduation, he and Carol moved to Bermuda, where he worked with both Deloitte and the reinsurance industry. In 2007, knowing that they wanted to raise their children closer to their extended family, he and Carol returned to Nova Scotia and have lived in Pictou County ever since. On November 2nd, 2020, Premier Houston was awarded his profession's highest mark of distinction, the Fellow Chartered Accountant designation by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Nova Scotia. The Premier's love of this province and its people, and discussions in hockey rinks, sparked his interest in politics. He successfully sought the Pictou East PC nomination in 2012 and was first elected to the Nova Scotia House of Assembly in the 2013 provincial election. He was re-elected in 2017 and again in 2021. In 2018, Tim was elected leader of the PC Party of Nova Scotia, and in 2021, he became Premier of the province of Nova Scotia. He also serves as Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs and Trade. As a former business person and chartered professional accountant, the Premier brings a business perspective to government, as well as a decade of elected experience advocating for his constituents and listening to Nova Scotians. Please welcome the Honourable Tim Houston, Premier of Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotians elected us to get things done, to implement real solutions to the issues that we face as a province. And folks, we are tackling them head on, like the solutions we are delivering in healthcare. This was and continues to be job number 1. We took over a healthcare system that was crumbling and told you we would fix it. I am giving this everything I have to make you proud and to make our province better. So let's keep going. Let's get it done. Thank you so much. Have a great night. More access, better care, delivered quicker. This is about providing Nova Scotians with the right level of care when they need it, and whenever possible, to do it closer to their home. We will always, always, always put the needs of our patients top of mind. More, faster. That's the promise, that's the plan, and I personally will not rest until the job is done. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here today. The energy in this room is really incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you for that warm welcome. I have to tell you that I think the last time I was in this room for an event like this was the PC leadership debate, and I can assure you there were not this many people there for the PC leadership debate. But thank you. It's great to be back. This is such a great part of the province. Thank you to the Cape Breton Regional Chamber. Thank you to the Strait Area Chamber, the partnership, and also, of course, CBU. Thank you so much for hosting this today. I have to say, I've been particularly impressed by the folks from the Strait. I know there's a number of them here today, but their get-it-done attitude. Their get-it-done attitude, their go-fast approach, it's very, very refreshing. I thank them for that. I think that what's happening in that region, particularly around the energy sector, really has the potential to transform our provincial economy. So thank you so much for your leadership on that. And folks, I just also want to say, if you have any really tough questions for me today, the entire government caucus is in this room, the entire cabinet, so please ask them. Every single member of the government caucus is here today. The entire provincial cabinet is here with you today in Sydney. I'm proud of the team we have. Can I ask our government caucus members to stand up and identify themselves? Thank you, folks. Direct all your questions to these two tables right here. We couldn't ask for a better team at the helm of the province. We really couldn't. I want to thank the caucus for their commitment to our province. And of course, here in Cape Breton, you are very well represented by Brian Comer, Keith Bain, Johnny White, Trevor Boudreau, and Al McMaster. That's a lot of passionate Cape Bretoners to have around the caucus table advocating for your community. I want to tell you that their love of your community is absolutely incredible. I thank them for their dedication to the province and to our community. And also with us in the room today, deputy ministers from across government departments. I want to thank the deputies, those working across the civil service for their commitment to our province. Working together, we can get things done. So I want to thank them for their commitment to the province as well. It's a big deal to have the government cabinet here. It's a big deal to have the entire government caucus here, and I'm proud that they're here with me today. This speech is called the State of the Province, but as you know, year after year, it's always been delivered in just one part of the province. Downtown Halifax. And listen, I love Halifax. Halifax is great, but if you spend too much time in one area of the province talking about the state of the province just from one viewpoint, well, you might miss a few things. And I think this community is a great example of that. This is a community where newcomers are not only welcomed, but embraced. This is absolutely, This is a community where the population is growing for the first time in decades. Businesses are opening. Businesses are opening, things are happening, and there is a pretty spectacular new development happening just 4 blocks from here that's going to change the face of downtown Sydney. I had a chance to tour there this morning. It's incredible. Thank you to the NSCC team and everyone working there. At one time, that project was the largest piling project in the entire country is a big project, and it's a great project, and it's a world-class project, and it's happening right here. And every time I come to the CBRM, I see incredible changes. Of course, if we look at the health redevelopment that's happening at the regional, that is all about excellence in healthcare. That new cancer center in particular is something to be incredibly proud of. I was on site yesterday speaking to many workers on site there. All Cape Bretoners, all who were working somewhere else, out west or somewhere else, and are here at home working on that project, and the pride that they had in that project was really moving, to be honest. It's a center of excellence in healthcare. It will be a center of excellence in healthcare, but it's also about money into the community. A lot of money into the community. Those are important jobs in the community, and it's happening across the entire region here. In New Waterford, it's a community hub with a new health center, long-term care, a new school. In Glace Bay, it's a renovation that will increase the capacity by up to 30%. In North Sydney, it's a new health center and new long-term care beds. These investments are so important in the communities, and I want to assure you that as a new government, we not only embraced these investments, but we have added to them in big ways. The investments are growing, and believe me, your Cape Breton caucus is making sure that those investments grow. In fact, Brian, Johnny, and Keith, they worked incredibly hard to make sure that there was one obvious new addition, that new cardiac cath lab. That will save lives. That lab will save lives. There is no question about it. And talking about saving lives, I do want to give massive kudos to Dr. Langley and Dr. Sala for the successful pilot project with the Urgent Treatment Center over on the north side. This has been an incredible success. It happened because of their leadership. It's been so successful, we're now going to expand that model across the province. So this is what we're looking for. Homegrown solutions, people from communities stepping up, rolling up their sleeves, and getting it done. And when we see those partners, we support them and work with them, which is another reason why I'm so happy to be here today with the team from CBU, because today I am pleased to say the rumors are true. I'm proud to announce today that by no later than the fall of 2025, there will be a medical school in Cape Breton. This is Thank you. I'm proud to share in that moment with you. It's your moment for sure. It's finally happening, a medical school campus at Cape Breton University. It's coming. And folks, that will be a medical school focused on educating Nova Scotian students. More specifically focused on educating rural Nova Scotian students. This is an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing for the future of our province. The best way to address a doctor shortage is to train more doctors. Now they say that this school will open not later than the fall of 2025, and believe me, I will be pushing extremely hard for much earlier instead of not later than. I will be pushing on this. Mr. Dingwall knows that. So to the folks at the CBU and their partnership with Dalhousie on this, let's get it done. Let's get it done early. Nova Scotians feel the urgency. I feel the urgency. Nova Scotians elected us to get things done. And I hope you see we're rolling up our sleeves to tackle the issues. There is no time to lose. Let me be frank here. There is a lot of work to do, particularly in healthcare. The healthcare system is not yet working the way it should. There is progress. There is progress. Just have a chat with Minister Thompson about that. There is progress. But the progress is too slow for many, and it's too slow for me. The stakes are very high. Earlier this month, we were all shocked and saddened to hear the story about patients in Amherst and here in Cape Breton. It impacted us all. My heart goes out to those families for sure. They deserve answers. We'll work to get them answers, but answers will not bring back a wife, will not bring back a mother. We know that. Nothing can. I know that. But here is what we can do. Everyone whose work touches the healthcare system, especially those at the top, including me, especially me, has to be committed to doing whatever it takes to ensure that stories like this do not get repeated. Last week, I pulled healthcare leaders from across the province together in person, in the same room, so we could look each other in the eye. And my message to them was very direct. We need more, and we need to go faster. And as for the cost, whatever it takes. It's going to require all of us to do things a little differently. Yes, the healthcare system is large and it's complicated. Yes, there is too much of the system designed to resist change in so many ways. Yes, there's still a lot of turf wars, too much inertia, too much short-term thinking. And yes, I'm impatient. And you should be too, every one of you. We see similar situations across other provinces. It's a national issue. But here in Nova Scotia, we're lucky because we have the best health leadership team in the country. And for sure, we have the best health minister in the country. And we have highly trained, compassionate, dedicated doctors and nurses and allied healthcare professionals across the spectrum who are doing an amazing job with the patients that are in front of them. They are literally burning themselves out trying to avoid failing their patients, but the system is failing them. And that's where I know the Premier needs to come in and take action and to be accountable. That's my job. Because I agree with my critics on this issue, and some others. But I agree with my critics. The buck stops with me. And I take that very, very personally. Just as it stopped with those premiers before me and those healthcare ministers before the minister and everyone who was involved in the system over the last few years. It stops with all of us. We're at the point we are right now in the system. None of this has happened overnight. And it certainly can't be fixed overnight, but I want you to mark my words. I may have inherited a system that is broken, but I will do everything in my power to fix it. I will. We will make the investments that are necessary, and I will not rest until you have a better healthcare system, the healthcare system that you deserve. So let me use the rest of my remarks today to go into the solution. And I'd like to break it down into two parts. First, how we're going to fix healthcare and some of the actions that we're taking. And second, how we're going to pay for it. But when it comes to fixing healthcare, it starts with one simple recognition. And that's a recognition that our legacy system was not designed for the challenges of our times. The reality is we're working with a system that was designed 20, 30, 40 years ago. a system that wasn't ready for our population growth, it wasn't ready for our aging demographics, and it wasn't ready for the advancements in technology. Even today, talking about a new health system for today, that's not good enough, because that would just turn out to be short-term thinking, and again, kicking a can down the road. We need to think much farther into the future. And listen to this, as hard as this is to believe, when we assumed office, we inherited a healthcare capital plan that was built in 2015. And that capital plan was actually built on the assumption that Nova Scotia's population would decline. I never want to even imagine going backwards, let alone planning to go backwards. So I'm here to tell you that the plan we're building, the plan to lead this province is based solely on extraordinary growth. We want to grow this province. We know that the infrastructure is necessary. But that requires us to act with urgency, of course, and to be ready for that growth. We need to do more. We need to do more, and we need to go faster. This is the principle that applies to everything we do in government. We need more doctors, more nurses, more primary care access. We need more beds. We need more long-term care space, more ER, more ambulance capacity. And it's also the driving principle why we're barreling over any obstacles, any hurdles, and embracing those that want to work with us to get it done on healthcare and in housing as well, on the housing front as well. So, and we need to move faster to make everything happen. So for me, that urgency and accountability, those two things are linked together. I'm an accountant. I ask for a lot of data. I want the updates because, more importantly, I want the public to have that data. I want the public to know what's happening in our healthcare systems, so that you can judge for yourself our progress against the plans. We launched a healthcare plan. It's an Action for Health plan. You can go to the website. You can track our progress. We want to be transparent about what the challenges are, but also where the progress exists. So you'll see progress in places, you will, but you'll see that plan working. But there's a lot of work to do. We know that. We know that, particularly around the need a family practitioner situation. The headline number there, everybody knows it's 130,000. That number keeps me awake at night. If you're on that list, I want you to know that I'm focused on getting you off that list. To do that, we really need to understand the people behind the numbers. For example, we know 20% of the people on that list are over 65. We know 20% are under 25, and we know the majority are in that 25 to 65 group. It's important to know these numbers because a person's healthcare needs are often different at different points in their life, and this will help us respond to the list. We know that 68,000 people on that list actually accessed healthcare this year, and we know why. This is important because it helps us to know where the hot spots are, what the issues really are, so that we can tailor the solutions and we can really get to work in those communities. For example, if we knew the majority of people in a certain community needed help managing their diabetes, we can work with that. We can work with that. We can set up clinics there, more clinics, more resources in those communities. So listen, I want you to know that the list is a concern to every Nova Scotian. It's certainly a concern to me, and we're working hard. We know that there's work to be done, and we know we need to communicate better with Nova Scotians on what's happening in the system. But I won't rest until everyone on that list and every Nova Scotian has a consistent, stable health home. And the team is also working tirelessly to stabilize the emergency room situation. Last week, Minister Thompson and CEO Karen Oldfield of the Nova Scotia Health Authority outlined the accelerated steps we're taking to improve emergency care and access. And there are a number of them. We're deploying doctor-led teams dedicated to transferring patients from ambulances into the department so they can get the proper care. We're assigning more physician assistants and more nurse practitioners to the emergency rooms. I was actually at the regional yesterday in the emergency room talking to some patients, and there was a retired physician's assistant there who urged me to tap into that community. We're doing that. We'll do that. We're adding more care providers and patient advocates to the waiting rooms, customer service agents in the emergency room, so people know, hey, we didn't forget you. We know this is what's happening, right? So we can communicate better. We're expanding the already successful pilot and making virtual care more accessible to Nova Scotians in general, but to emergency room patients with less urgent needs. We're expanding access to paramedics training and providing new incentives for paramedics who choose to work right here. We're adding a second air ambulance between Sydney and Halifax. This will save lives, folks. It really will. We're supporting new and existing family medicine practices so they can see more patients. We're extending the hours for virtual care appointments. We are providing more mobile primary care. We're adding mobile respiratory care clinics. We're adding urgent treatment centers across the province. Thanks again to those two incredible Cape Breton doctors for leading this charge. We're offering a new mobile digital app called Digital Front Door that will help people find the healthcare services they need close to home. They need to know what exists in the community, folks. I want you to know things are happening on the healthcare file. We are moving quickly. Each one of these is an investment. And you will have seen we're not shy about investing in you. We're not shy about investing in your community. You are absolutely worth it. We will continue to do it. Since we came to office, we've increased the health budgets by almost 13%. This is a massive increase in budgets. And we'll keep investing. We'll keep investing. Wait till you see this year's budget. I think it's keeping Minister McMaster up awake at night, but we will keep investing because every one of these measures, every single measure that I outlined there, in their own way, will help reduce the burden on our healthcare system and will help people access care. While we're taking these steps, we'll continue to do the heavy lifting to address widespread systemic improvements and challenges that are needed in our healthcare system. And some of these things won't be things that you would necessarily see as a patient, but they will make the system more efficient in the long run, and they're things we have to do. It's a balance of addressing the immediate while also working on long-term sustainable measures so we can build a system that doesn't crash every few decades like we're having now. So, I mean, let me ask you this. How many people in this room right now know someone who trained abroad, did healthcare training abroad for medicine? Quite a few. And chances are those folks have found it nearly impossible to get back home. That's ridiculous. I don't accept that, and we're going to figure that out. We're working hard to figure that out. They say I'm like a dog on a bone on that issue, but we're going to fix that issue because it doesn't make sense to me. And maybe in a different time, some of those folks would have been a student at a CBU medical school and never had to go away. So. We added 200 nursing seats for students across the province, and we offered jobs to all graduating nurses in Nova Scotia. And speaking about those physicians' assistants, we've identified 64 of them living in the province, many of them in this community. They're ready to get to work. We're going to mobilize them. We're expanding the scope also of other allied healthcare professionals. People probably would have known the scope expansion for pharmacists. We expanded the healthcare services that can be provided by pharmacists right in your local pharmacy. And folks, since doing this, since taking that action, nearly 10,000 patients have seen their pharmacist for healthcare that they weren't otherwise able to receive. That's incredible. We'll continue to do those expansion of scope. We opened a new, thank you, yeah. Every bit of that, Every one of those appointments makes a difference in the burden on the healthcare system. We open new recovery support centers to help people struggling with addictions. The work of Minister Comer on this, as the Minister of Addictions and Mental Health, is really leading the country in many ways. I want to thank Minister Comer for his personal commitment to getting service to people. We hired 108 operators for routine transportation needs to cut the number of patient transfers that require paramedic services, and that has had an immediate impact. It's cut the number that required an actual paramedic by 3/4. That initiative is working. It's working so well that now we're hiring another 100 more transport drivers to do even more hospital transfers. Let me assure you, healthcare has always been job number one. We've done those initiatives in just 17 months. And my promise to you is simple. I will not rest until the job is done. We will keep going. We will keep going at that same speed. Because in the last election, I promised Nova Scotians that we would fix healthcare and that we would invest whatever it takes to turn the healthcare crisis around. And I stand by that promise today. And as I mentioned, later this spring, Minister McMaster will deliver the 2023 budget, and that will provide a full accounting of what the bill is for healthcare. But this is no time to cut corners on healthcare. We won't do it. We're going to invest where there's a need to invest. We'll keep doing that. But that doesn't mean that we will pour money on a broken system. We can't pour money on just the status quo, because the status quo won't get us there. Nova Scotia currently spends 41 cents out of every dollar on healthcare. Going on the current trends, it would consume our entire provincial budget in just a little over 2 decades. And there would be no money for roads, no money for community services, no money for schools. We can't do that. The Prime Minister has said that there's no point in putting money on a broken system, and I agree with the Prime Minister. And fortunately, there are many ways that the Prime Minister can help improve access. And the reality is this: we need the federal government's help. We need their partnership, because the issues facing Nova Scotia's healthcare system are happening nationwide, and the changes that are required are not just limited to things that a single province can chip away at. These are national issues. And I'm looking forward to meeting with the Prime Minister next week. I know the Prime Minister wants to fix healthcare. I want to fix healthcare. And there'll be lots that we can talk about that we can do together. We can save Medicare in this country. It's on the ropes, but we can save it. And I'll be making sure that the Prime Minister knows there's a willing partner in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia is all in on fixing healthcare. The money is part of it. It's not the only thing. Money is part of it. But there's more things that money are important. Immigration, helping us fast-track immigration for healthcare workers in particular, is one thing I want to work with Minister Fraser on. But while we have those discussions with the federal government, we'll continue to get things done here on the front lines at home. We'll roll up our sleeves. Also on the question of how do we pay for healthcare? That's an important question. And in fact, the very reason I'm so focused on growing Nova Scotia is precisely so that we can afford to pay more of our own way in fixing healthcare and so many other issues. People drive economies. Growth is not easy. It comes with challenges. We see those challenges. But we also have seen the challenges on the other side of the equation, when we lose people, when we depopulate. And I will tell you, I would much rather be dealing with the challenges of growth. Those are the challenges we want to deal with. And if we think about it, in 2021, Nova Scotia's real GDP per capita was $43,000. The second lowest in Canada. We have a lot of room to grow. What an opportunity, folks, but we need to increase the GDP per capita, because more GDP means more jobs. It means better pay for those working in our economies, and it means new investment from outside Nova Scotia. It means more businesses opening their doors here at home, and it means more revenue the government can allocate to paying for healthcare, not because we are taxing people more, but because there's more people earning a paycheck and it's bigger and there's more taxes in the pot. So that's what drives us. This is what motivates us. Our economic plan to create more jobs, to attract more investment and build new industries starts with creating jobs in emerging sectors. Those folks from the Strait, well, in the last 6 months, we've announced several new projects to help develop green hydrogen and to tap into our incredible wind potential in Richmond and Guysborough counties, but beyond as well. But they've been willing partners. They've done their homework, and we're happy to support them. But I want everyone else to know that the announced projects are just the tip of the iceberg on what is available as we develop our offshore wind industry. I am extremely excited that Nova Scotia is a prime location to become a green energy powerhouse. We have the resources, we have the geography to develop the clean and renewable power that the global markets need. This is a good news story, folks, and I can tell you that many jurisdictions are envious of the position we have here. We need to push that advantage. And who will build everything that needs to be built? Our MOST program, More Opportunities for Skilled Trades, that's a program that looks to the future. It's a plan to fill the gaps in our labor markets and to attract skilled workers by ensuring that trades workers under the age of 30 will not pay any personal provincial income tax on their first $50,000 of income. You heard that right. No tax for skilled trades under 30. We need more workers. We need more younger workers helping us build, but also helping us right-size our demographics. This is an initiative that many jurisdictions are watching. We're leading on that one, folks, and I'm really excited about it. And of course, our partnership with the film industry, that's designed to return Nova Scotia to the status it once held as a growing production, booming production hub. We're investing in a new soundstage. We're investing in a content creator fund because this industry is good for our communities. It's good for our province. It promotes our province as a tourism destination in an incredible way. It's a fantastic opportunity. Just think about what the Curse of Oak Island has done to put Nova Scotia on the international map. I did have a little cameo on the Curse of Oak Island. I was, during the Fiona cleanup, was driving. I was actually in Guysborough County, and I saw a Hydro One crew from Ontario was down doing some repair work. I pulled over. I was by myself. I walked up to thank them. As soon as I approached them, a guy said, "Hi, I know who you are." And I said, "Who am I?" He said, "You're the guy that was on the Curse of Oak Island." So, I said, "Yeah, I'm also the premier." I don't know about premier. I don't know about. Did they find it? Our industry, the film industry, can tell those good news, blue noser stories, can grab the attention of the world in a way that we have few other opportunities to do, and attract people here to spend their money here. We'll invest in that. And now let me tell you about Now, if I could share another initiative, this is, I believe, the most innovative buy local program the country has ever seen. Nova Scotia Loyal. We're going to implement Nova Scotia Loyal and create real incentives for Nova Scotia customers to support Nova Scotia businesses. It's a new initiative. New initiatives aren't without their challenges, folks, but this is a government that has the courage to try new, innovative ideas, that has the courage to invest in the opportunities that are before us. You asked us to do that. You asked us to get things done and to have the courage to do things differently. We are doing it. And when you look at our governments, your governments, I hope you see a government whose heart is set on growing this province. We're all in on growing this province. Yes, we'll probably make a few mistakes along the way. When you go fast, that can happen. You may have noticed one innovative idea we tried to push that went a little bit sideways on us, wasn't so great as what we thought it might be. Something about taxing non-residents. If you ever want to find out how attached somebody who doesn't live in this province feels to this province, just tell them you're going to call them a non-resident and tax them more. You get a certain reaction. But listen, folks, when you go fast, when you make mistakes, you have to have the courage and common sense to recognize the mistake and move on. We'll do that. We'll do that, and we thank you for your patience as we work through some of those things. But my heart, the heart of our government, is only in your success. It's only in the success of this province. I know we're going to continue to attract new Nova Scotians here, new workers. I know we're going to attract businesses from across the country and around the world because they want what we have. They want the quality of life that we have. So while I will remain clear-eyed about the challenges facing our healthcare system, challenges that are going to take time to fix, I am encouraged and inspired by the incredible effort that we see from our frontline healthcare workers to ensure that your family will receive the care that you need at the time you need it. They deserve from us the same commitment, the same do not quit attitude that they are showing us on the front lines every day. They deserve that from government, and they deserve it from every healthcare leader in this province. We can't do it all overnight. If we could, we would, but we'll move at a pace that gets it done as quickly as possible. And I will commit to you again. I am fully committed in building the healthcare system that Nova Scotians deserve. So let's do more. Let's do it faster. Let's do it together. There's a great future for this province, and I'm very excited about it. Thank you for having me here today. Much appreciated.
Premier Houston, ministers of the Crown, members of the House of Assembly, deputy ministers, ladies and gentlemen. I heard our Premier say that he has work to do with the Minister of Finance in the construction of the 2023 budget. Mr. Premier, you have enough to do, so I offer myself to assist you in crafting that particular budget. This is an historic occasion. The first Premier of Nova Scotia to give a State of the Union address outside of Halifax was the late Bob Stanfield. The tradition did not endure, but now we have a young man in the name of Tim Houston who will continue with that tradition here in Cape Breton. Your words were encouraging, realistic, and as always, you have shown great leadership. Today marks a monumental day in the history of Cape Breton University, and most importantly, the healthcare of Nova Scotians, with the province of Nova Scotia announcing a medical campus here in Cape Breton. Firstly, let me extend my sincere appreciation to you, Premier, and to your staff for having the courage and the foresight to make such an impactful and timely commitment. I thank you for trusting Cape Breton University and Dalhousie that we will work collaboratively for the benefit of all Nova Scotians as outlined in our signed Memorandum of Understanding. Today's announcement is transformational, and it's a game changer for the entire province. A medical campus at CBU is one part of the solution for healthcare. It certainly won't solve every challenge, but we are committed to continuing to do everything that we can. What we are giving people today in our province is hope. We are giving young people in Cape Breton and other rural areas of the province hope that they can attend medical school here in Cape Breton and then return to their communities as physicians, something they might never have imagined. We are giving citizens across the province comfort knowing that they will be training more doctors that specialize in caring for rural Indigenous communities in collaborative practices. The shortage of family physicians, which is affecting all areas of the province, is especially concerning in rural areas, where healthcare alternatives are scarce and where recruitment and retention of physicians can be very, very challenging. The healthcare needs of rural communities are also often quite different from those of their urban counterparts. A second medical campus in Nova Scotia brings tremendous opportunity to do things differently, with a focus on addressing rural needs and bridging the gaps in our healthcare system. Today, Friday, January the 27th, 2023, will be a day etched in our memories for generations to come. You, sir, are truly a visionary. To paraphrase the words of the great one, Wayne Gretzky, you are leading us to where the puck will be going. Population growth, coupled with additional physicians to address the needs of rural Nova Scotians and Cape Bretoners, enhanced collaborative models of care to address the needs of all our citizens is of paramount importance. Leadership, sir, is about making important and impactful decisions. Today, Premier, you have done our province well, and on behalf of CBU, the broader community of Cape Breton, and residents in rural Nova Scotia, we thank you, sir, most sincerely.
I think David Dingwall just committed me to doing all of my State of the Province addresses, and I nodded along with him.
Thank you, President and Vice Chancellor Dingwall, for your leadership as well, and for that kind offer. I think that would be something we'd love the Premier to take us up on. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyler Mathis, and I am President and CEO of the Cape Breton Partnership, one of the 4 organizations that came together for planning today's event. We're proud to be here. We are Cape Breton Unamagi's private sector-led economic development organization, and the proud operator of 2 of the regional enterprise networks here in Cape Breton, in collaboration with our First Nations, our municipalities, and of course, the province of Nova Scotia. We support companies and entrepreneurs in promoting our island as a great place to live, work, and invest, growing a culture that values entrepreneurship and innovation, and connecting entrepreneurs and businesses, many of whom are in this room here today, with the resources they need to connect along with our partners. Thank you for joining us here at the beautiful port of Sydney in the CBRM, and it's great to hear firsthand from our Premier about some of the pressing issues it's facing. And some of you have submitted your comments online, and we're pulling from those questions, combining some in the interest of time, as unfortunately we can't take live questions today, but we're excited to hear the Premier's remarks and following on this great news you've already provided. Again, thank you to the province of Nova Scotia, the Strait Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Cape Breton Regional Chamber of Commerce, and Cape Breton University for all the work to put together today's event. So without further ado, we have a few questions that people have submitted to us, Premier, from online. And so, like I said, we've taken some literary license on some of these in the interest of time. So first was housing, and not an unfamiliar topic to the media and to us all. We know the government has existing programs and incentives for renovation and building of new units in Nova Scotia. However, we're not seeing results that match the magnitude of what some call a housing crisis. So what more aggressive steps is the Nova Scotia government going to roll out to get more housing built quickly?
Well, thank you for the question. I'd like to ask Housing Minister John Lower, who's in the room, to answer the question. No. Thank you. Look, this is the housing challenge is a significant challenge. There's no question about that. I like the phrasing of the question of how can we go more aggressively. Always happy to go more aggressively. I feel that urgency. We've taken some steps. $150 million of investment in housing. Of course, we made some changes to set up a housing panel commission right off the bat to kind of knock down any red tape that's in the way so that these developments can get going. Some of these developments that we've seen from different areas of the province have been at 10 years in the planning stage. No answer to yes or no answer to no, just a lot more questions and stuff. So we've tried to get a process together to aggressively get to the answer of yes or no, so people will know and made those investments. And I can tell you that nothing's off the table. We're looking at modular housing for healthcare workers in particular. We're looking at different solutions for student housing. I know that's a big challenge, particularly in this area. But listen, we're happy to act aggressively. We feel that urgency, and we're happy to work with anyone in this room, any community who has an idea on how to address it. We'll be there to invest like we have, but we know that there's work particularly on the red tape side of things, that we need to keep moving forward.
Okay. Thank you. And kind of building on that a bit, you've already addressed it in terms of growing our economy and growing our labor force and the great programs in place. We have many groups that still have much to offer. Employers are still facing significant barriers to employment. Examples can be found with our seniors, our First Nations, newcomers, people with disabilities. And the question submitted was, what steps is the province taking, perhaps in addition to what you've outlined in your comments, to address the labor shortages and maximize the potential to connect our labor force with our employers and bridge that frustrating gap?
Yeah, thank you for this. We have a stated goal to double the population of the province. We're making incredible progress on that. It's early days, but the work of Minister Balser and her team, I can tell you that this is a province that generally grows by about 5,000 people, 5,000 net new Nova Scotians. That's what our growth rate was. Year over year, we've added 30,000 Nova Scotians. That's an incredible number. That's like adding another Sydney to the province. So we know that we need to attract people here, and we need them working in the workforce here. So the issues around credentialing, so that people that are trained to do something healthcare or otherwise. I spoke about healthcare already, but otherwise as well, so that they can bring their skills right here. Those are constant struggles. We'll continue to work on that to make people can do what they want to do, what they're trained to do right here to help us grow this province. So we'll work hard on that. We'll continue to attract people to the province. People do push economies forward. People grow our economies. That growth is important. That growth is happening, and we'll continue to build the infrastructure to be ready for them. I mentioned the most program in the comments, but that's one that I'm really excited about, to get people into the trades, but also to get young tradespeople here. So work to be done for sure. But we're growing, and growth is good. Growth comes with challenges, but we're up for that too.
Awesome. Thank you. And growing is something we're excited for in Cape Breton and Amagi as well. Are working on a 5 to 10 year population growth strategy in with your government, but also across the island. And you've spoken about the Strait quite a bit with energy opportunities there. And energy is something that our I was almost going to say province, but our island, and our province and our island is focused on. And with our coal generating stations primarily here in this part of the province, in Lingan and Porniconi and Point Tupper, the impacts of jobs as we go through this transition is significant in our area. So, you are quoted as saying, setting the target of the 5 gigawatts you mentioned in your remarks sends a clear signal to the world that Nova Scotia is open for business and becoming an international leader. But I guess some of the questions people have is how soon are we sure we're going to meet that goal, and how will that affect the workers that are in transition and these industries that have really skilled workers in them today?
Yeah, thank you. That the 5 is an ambitious goal. It's a stretch goal for sure. It got the attention of a lot of players worldwide, really. So we're focused on meeting that goal. We might even make it a little larger here before too soon, actually, because the opportunity is here, folks. This province, the wind speeds we have, the incredible wind speeds we have offshore, onshore, they're world class. I think we saw some of them yesterday right downtown here, actually. But we have incredible wind speeds. We have so much potential. So this is a file. Minister Hallman, Minister Rushton are focused on growing that industry. We brought somebody in specifically, Dave McGregor. If you're in the industry, you should know Dave McGregor. It's his job to make sure that we meet that goal. It's his job to move that industry forward. The potential that we have, we're talking about wind. Look at the Bay of Fundy. The potential in the Bay of Fundy to change the economy of this province in such a way that's really unthinkable to many people. The power of the Bay of Fundy is if you took every single river in the world, took all of that together, you may have something close to the power of the Bay of Fundy. And it's predictable, and it's every day, and it's untapped. So these types of opportunities for our province are the types of things when we say, what's the province we want in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? It all comes from the opportunities in those things. So we set those stretch goals, and we get the attention that we're serious about getting things done in this province, and the interest comes, and the capital that is interested in coming to Nova Scotia and investing in wind in particular, and green hydrogen in particular, and in the oceans, it is remarkable. This province will be different in 30 years and 20 years if we take the steps that are necessary today, and I will promise you we're going to take those steps because we can't keep looking away from the potential of this province any longer.
Awesome. Thank you. And so there's been a lot of questions on sectors that are strong historically in our communities, and also have the opportunity to be strong, continue, and grow. And one of those, again, is our forestry industry. Our forests produce an array of valued products that are used locally, domestically, globally. They're sourced from sustainably managed renewable resources. And it's extremely important, as many in this room know, and are close to our forests. So the question was, what key initiatives do you see your government planning to deploy to ensure the sector is well positioned to thrive and continue it to be that leader in our economy and in our communities to provide those social and community benefits.
Yeah, thank you for that. And the strength of our province is our traditional industries, our forestry sector, our farming sector, our tourism sector. We're going to grow trees in this province and cut them down. Our forestry sector is going to be part of our economy, and we're going to have an agricultural sector. These things, our traditional industries, are incredibly important. It's been tough in the forestry for sure. We know that with the closure of Northern Pulp in Pictou County, it's been tough on the industry. There's a big need for a market for those wood chips and other byproducts that traditionally would have gone to a pulp mill. They have value. We have to build that market here. So a couple of the steps we've taken, actually, the former government had initiated the Forestry Transition Fund. It was a $50 million fund to look for ideas, to do the research and evaluate opportunities for new markets, for new value adds. There's been some projects under that fund, some here at the Verschuren Center. Really interesting projects as well. I guess what I would say is there's still over $20 million in that fund. We want to get that. We want to get that money invested in the industry, in the future of the industry. But our government supports the forestry industry. Our government knows that it has its challenges, but the opportunities are big. So let's find a way collectively to get the remaining transition fund money invested in projects. Let's find that. Let's continue to work on the projects, the pilots that are in the hopper. But let's also let our foresters know that what they do is it adds value to our province, and they're valued.
Thanks. And I guess both of these industries, as we know, involve moving product from one place to another. And one question came up with transportation and infrastructure, and how to ensure that our ports and infrastructure is to a point where our local suppliers or our local producers, either of forestry products or energy, can transport those goods locally and to the global market.
So ports, infrastructure for ports, infrastructure for roads. These are important decisions. Minister Maslin tabled a $2 billion capital budget. $2 billion, 150 projects, over the next 5 or 7 years. So investing in infrastructure, and I guess what I want you to know is that these decisions are always competing. There's always competing interests, and we look at these decisions and we look at them through the lens of will that investment help us move products, goods, services? Will it help the economy? And can we get to a place where we can put our hand on our heart and say we made that investment, but not that one for the reasons that of the economic and community benefits. So each one of those initiatives, if people who want to talk about investments in infrastructure like that, come with your economic assessment, come with your business case. We know that as we grow the economy, we'll have more and more products that we need to move around the world. That will be by rail, that'll be by water, that'll be by road. So these are big investments, but the $2 billion capital budget that's tabled, that should give you 2 billion reasons to believe that we are committed to investing in infrastructure in this province.
Thank you. And so, kind of building off that $2 billion commitment, I think about $450 million of that $2 billion is scheduled for roadwork twinning and major projects in 23-24, and committed another. I'm reading from notes. I don't have it at the top of my head. $583 million for additional 6 new major twinning construction projects from 25 to 30. However, none of that was committed for highway twinning on construction projects in Cape Breton here. And just for context, we as Jenna opened us up, Canada's #1 island, Nova Scotia's North America's #1 island, and a primary driver. And as a side note, the Cabot Trail is approaching its 100th year anniversary in 2032. And so the question I think is that what came was, will the government recognize the value of tourism, in particular with our transportation, to bring that particular infrastructure to meet an upgraded expectation from the traveling public and people who come to visit?
Thank you for the question. You're not the first person in the room to ask me about the investment in the Cabot Trail. I want to thank the Victoria Council for bringing that to the table first thing already. But look, the tourism opportunities we have, I touched on a little bit with getting the message out about Nova Scotia and come to Nova Scotia and see what we have to offer. And the best way to see what we have to offer is to get around this province by road. So we know that, and if you can't access the roads, you're not going to get a chance to see some of the 13,000 kilometers of shoreline that we have here, incredible beaches, hiking trails. So we understand that promoting our tourism industry has to be followed up by the investments in the infrastructure that are necessary for tourists to get the fulsome experience here. So there's a number of road projects happening around the island for sure, dozens for sure. I'm not sure specifically on the twinning, but what I guess what I would say is all politics are local, and there's nothing more local than the road a person drives every day. So we understand the investments in roads, and we'll continue to make those through that capital budget process. But the tourism product we have, never let anyone sell you short on what this province has to offer. We have a lot to offer, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. And as people are traveling those roads, they often like to raise a pint when they stop for the evening. And that brings us to some regulations on craft breweries, which no doubt you're no stranger to. It's a bustling local craft beer industry, creating jobs, capital investment, and with 3 breweries here in Cape Breton. A commercial operation, once they produce 15,000 hectoliters, is the designation currently. And the markup that NSLC charges producers is increasing from 40% to 84.5% on Nova Scotia craft breweries. And opportunities to market is a challenge in NSLC stores. So the question, and perhaps this has to do something with your comments on Nova Scotia Loyal, but what are steps is the province considering to ensure Nova Scotia craft brewers can operate in a competitive environment with opportunities to increase and grow their market share for a healthy bottom line?
Thank you for that. Don't want to give the wrong impression, but I'm a big fan of the local craft brew industry here. I've been told it's, no, I'm just kidding. Listen, it is part of our Nova Scotia Loyal. There's all kinds of interesting intricacies around alcohol and trade and all these things, but there's definitely things we can do to support the industry, and myself and Minister McMaster talk about this quite a bit. One is certainly product awareness, product placement, advertising. There's nothing more frustrating for me than to pick up a shiny ad brochure from the Nova Scotia Liquor Corporation talking about wines from every other part of the world and nothing about our local products. When we go into our Nova Scotia Liquor Commission stores, we should see advertising. We should see some recognition of the local products. People want our local products there. And the beauty of the Nova Scotia Loyal is we know when somebody tries a local product that the quality speaks for itself and they come back. That's definitely true in our alcoholic beverage industry. So those types of caps, there's a lot of discussion happening on that. I personally want that industry to grow and are supportive of that industry. We'll do that in the confines of not causing a problem with the trade restrictions, but there's things we can do, and I would say stay tuned. We'll get some things done there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We thank everybody here for your time. I know we were a little bit over our time, but we thank you for the amazing announcements, your candid feedback. We appreciate that, Premier Houston. And thank you for everyone who submitted your questions. We aren't able to put these on without a great, robust participation of citizens of this province and of this island. And we look forward together to a brighter future. So thank you, Premier Houston. And now, to conclude today, back to our host, Jenna Leahy, CB Cape Breton Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Well, that was an exciting afternoon. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and hopefully you had all of your questions answered. I'm sure he might get a few more from the media in a little while here. For the media in the room, there will be a question and answer period here at the front of the room in just a few moments. But we want to thank everybody who made today possible. I know Tyler has done so, but Cape Breton University, of course, and President Dingwall, thank you very much. The Cape Breton Partnership, Tyler and his team, who deserve an extra special shout out, and as well as the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce, Misty and her team. I'd also like to thank the Port of Sydney, Scott and the Flavor on the Water team for the delicious meal, and Darcy and the team at NovaStream for their hard work on audio and visuals. And most of all, of course, we have to thank the Premier once again for choosing Cape Breton as his destination for the state of the province in a first time in a very long time. And of course, all of you. This day wouldn't have been possible without all of you, so we appreciate your time and the effort you made to get here. I'd just like to mention that to end the day, the proclamation for African Heritage Month was read earlier today, and we encourage all of you to take part in those celebrations. So thank you all very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Picking up the pieces of my sweet shattered dream.